prophecy, Wamma Counsula Payniaka, Gosolanina, he wake up.
The Assembly.
Mr. President, Mr. Secretary General, Excellencies, heads of state and government, heads of delegations, ambassadors, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, I'm honored to address this 74th session of the United Nations General Assembly on behalf of the government and people of Liberia. Before I begin my address, I would like to ask you to kindly join me to observe a moment of silence for the deaths of 28 young scholars who died last week in a tragic fire in Liberia. Thank you. May their soul rest in perfect peace. I would like to thank the large number of you who shared our grief and loss by sending us condolences through personal telephone calls and social media. God bless you for your compassion. Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, allow me first of all to congratulate His Excellency Professor Tijani Muhammad Bandi on his elections as President of the 74th sessions of the United Nations General Assembly. Mr. President, your election is not only an honor to you and the government and people of Nigeria, it is also an honor for West Africa and the African continent at large. We are convinced that you will lead this august body successfully and fulfill the expectation and the confidence reposed in you. I wish to assure you of Liberia's further support in the discharge of your duties. Permit me to also congratulate your predecessor, Her Excellency Ms. Maria Fernanda Espinosa Garcia, for the astute manner in which she administered the affairs of the 73rd session of the General Assembly. Let me also pay a special tribute to the Secretary General, Mr. Antonio Guterres, for his enthusiasm and personal dedication to the work of the United Nations and for ably steering its affairs. Your far-sighted leadership qualities continue to keep the United Nations focused on its objective in the face of daunting challenges. Mr. President, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as I acknowledged on many occasions, Liberia is UN's success story. After being devastated by brutal civil conflict that lasted for 14 years, peace was restored and maintained by what was then the largest peacekeeping force in the history of its organization. Under the auspices of the homemade peacekeepers, Liberians enjoy 16 years of unbroken peace. Mr. President, we are pleased and grateful for the efforts and sacrifices made by them to secure our peace. When the peacekeeping force were withdrawn 2 years ago, the responsibility for maintaining peace in Liberia was passed on to the Liberian government. This is a responsibility to which I attach the greatest importance, because without peace, our war will be difficult. We are all aware of the terrible destructions of lives and property caused by civil war. However, long after the guns have been silenced, the survivors have to live with the collateral damage of the war wounded, the sheltered families, the displaced populations, the resettlements of refugees, and all the other negative consequences of a national social economic fabric that has been torn apart. Your Excellencies, Since I assumed the leadership of my country, almost 2 years now, I have remained focused on my charge to ensure that peace prevails in Liberia. At the time, we committed ourselves to upholding our constitutional mandate, which is to ensure that all the democratic rights of our citizens will be guaranteed and protected. I am proud to say that I've kept this promise, and our country is today a beacon of democracy in Africa, where freedom of the press, freedom of expression, freedom of association, and other political and democratic rights are respected under the rule of law. The political environment remains vibrant, with political actors and parties freely exercising their franchise and participating in various elections. Mr. President, I am delighted to report that there are no political prisoners in Liberia, and existing laws that hinder or threaten press freedom are being decriminalized. Several protests have taken place from time to time, all of which have ended peacefully and have been welcomed by my government as a positive manifestation of our democratic maturity. This is the democracy for which our country has yearned. This is the freedom of which our people have struggled and suffered. And this is the emancipation for which many of our citizens have paid the ultimate price. However, Mr. President, we are beginning to witness the emergence of a creeping threat to our democratic space and to our hard-won peace and stability. Some individuals within and out of our country, particularly those who have lost democratically held elections, have resulted to incitement, threats of violence, misuse of social media, and hate speech with the aim and objective of achieving power through undemocratic means. This is unacceptable and must not be encouraged by those who wish Liberia well. For democrats to strive, all Liberians, including both the ruling parties and the opposition party, must respect the rule of law and abide by the procedures and regulations prescribed therein. As the leading opposition party in Liberia, during the past 12 years, our party, the Congress for Democratic Change, accepted the disputed results of two previous presidential elections in 2005 and in 2011 in the interest of peace. Nevertheless, throughout those two terms, we continue to engage the government of the day in a constructive manner, even accepting to serve as peace ambassador when called upon to assist them to maintain the peace under their regime. We must all learn to respect the mandates of our electorate, even when that mandate is not in our favor, and not be selective in our support for democracy only when we win. Mr. President, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the Liberian civil conflict came to an end when all parties and warring factions signed a comprehensive peace agreement in Accra, Ghana in August 2003. The accord called for the establishment of a Truth and Reconciliation Commission, the TRC, to provide a forum that will address issues of impunity, as well as an opportunity for both the victims and perpetrators of human rights violations to share their experiences in order to facilitate genuine healing and reconciliation. The TRC was duly established, concluded its hearing, and produced a final report in 2009. Among other things, the report called for the establishment of an extraordinary criminal tribunal to prosecute those identified as having committed gross violations of human rights and economic crimes between 1979 and 2003. It is important to note that the TRC report also recommended the use of a conflict resolution mechanism that has been traditionally used in Liberia, called the Palava Hut, where in various district meetings conducted by community elders, perpetrators could publicly request forgiveness from the victims, and where the aims of restorative justice could be served. When I spoke before you last September, after my first 9 months in office, I indicated a preference for dialogue as a conflict resolution mechanism, so that as a government and people, we could together focus our efforts on poverty reduction, growth, and economic development, rather than on retribution. However, since that time, there has been a rising chorus of voices from many quarters calling for the establishment of an economic and war crime court. These voices include not only thousands of war victims, but also of the alleged perpetrators who seem to wish to either clear their names or their conscience. Support for the establishment of the court has also been voiced by many international organizations, as well as some of our international partners. Mr. President, we are at a loss to understand why the clamor for the establishment of the court is now being made, almost 4 decades after it was first called for, and during which time no such pressure was brought to bear on the government that grew out of the Accra Peace Accord. Nevertheless, our government is a listening administration, and we have been paying keen attention to the voices of our people. What I have discerned from their cries is that it is important to bring closure to the wounds from the 14 years of Liberia's brutal civil war, and that we need to agree on a mechanism that will guarantee the sustenance of peace, stability, justice, and reconciliation, as well as enhance our prospect for economic recovery. Considering the importance of this matter, I have already begun consultation with our national legislature, the representatives of our people, and we intend to have a broader engagement with the Liberian judiciary system and with our strategic international partners and organizations in order to determine pertinent issues such as legal framework, timing, venue, funding, among others. It is my hope that at the end of this consultative process, a national consensus will evolve that will determine the pathway to resolving this issue. I therefore ask for your unflinching support as we embark upon these important national endeavors. Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we are gathered here today at a time of uncertainty and heightened tension in global politics, securities, and trade. The global economy is also under undue stress. Security tension is on the rise in many parts of the world. Trade, protectionism, and climate change both are having unintended consequences, especially on developing countries. Yet, we strongly believe in the ability of the United Nations to maintain international peace and security, foster friendly relations among nations, and promote social progress, better living standards, and human rights. We continue to have faith and confidence in the United Nations as the best universal institution to guide the nations of the world in peaceful and harmonious interactions. Mr. President, the theme of this 74th General Assembly, Galvanizing Multilateral Efforts for Poverty Eradications, Quality Educations, Climate Actions, and Inclusion, certainly reminds us about our responsibility to focus on achieving the purpose of the United Nations in principle and practice. My government has developed and is implementing the National Development Plan which support this theme. Our Pro-Poor Agenda for Prosperity and Development, the PAPD, is intended to serve as our compass for reconstruction, development, and modernization. While it gives priority to poverty reduction, it is also intended to support the efforts of middle and upper income Liberians to grow and prosper. It is equally centered on infrastructure development, road construction, road connectivities, and agriculture. Indeed, the PAPD also emphasizes women and youth empowerment, as well as qualitative education and good healthcare delivery. However, at this junction, we are beginning to face significant implementation challenges due to the continued decline in prices of our major exports, revenue shortfalls, and structural imbalances. Increasing inflations and currency depreciation tend to reduce the purchasing power of our citizens, thus placing further burden on their standard of living. Mr. President, we have exercised our best effort as a government to address these challenges, and will continue to do so. Yet, many of them persist and are claiming the folders' attention in finding practical solutions to resolve them. Mr. President, we therefore want to appeal to you for your continued assistance and expertise. My administration has recently developed a new investment framework of incentives and tax reliefs that will directly benefit the private sector. And we hereby invite the investment community to take advantage of this new opportunity. We have also taken several other initiatives to address these challenges. For example, we are presently engaged in talks with the IMF with the aim of entering into a program with that institution. We are also involved in reorganizing the leadership and the management of our central bank to make it more efficient, independent, and responsive to the issues of monetary policies, formulation, and supervision. As part of our effort to ensure an inclusive and participatory dialogue on the problems confronting our economy, including the urgent need to proffer appropriate solutions, we recently initiated a national economic dialogue comprising of all local and international stakeholders. We have taken due note of their recommendations and have already begun to implement those that are most urgent and pertinent. Mr. President, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, let me assure you that Liberia remains engaged as a responsible member of the international community on all bilateral, regional, and multilateral levels. We will continue to work with the United Nations and its organizations to foster peace, security, and harmony among the nations and peoples of the world. To my fellow Liberians, both at home and abroad, let me say that without peace, there can be no progress and development. All Liberians, therefore, have a responsibility to maintain the peace that we now enjoy, especially those of you who desire to be future leaders of Liberia. Remember, fellow Liberians, it was the love of liberty that established us as a country. It was the unity that made us the first independent African republic. And it will take our joint effort to sustain the peace, development, and reconcile our nation and gain economic stability. I thank you.
On behalf of the General Assembly, I wish to thank the President
You gotta move off here now.
You're trying to come here?
No, I'm working now, you gotta move.
Okay, no, just go ahead.
You gotta pass. No, I'm pass over.
We need a chair because they will get some chairs.
Again, is Again, I want to welcome you to this live feed. The faces you're seeing on your screen are Liberians who turn out here in New York, especially at the hotel of His Excellency Dr. George Martin Weah. And like he's done on his visits to countries where he's normally in talk with the Liberian community. Today, following his speech at the UN General Assembly, he came out to meet Liberians who's been here in the United States of America. Some show partisans of the Coalition for Democratic Change, others are of other political affiliation, and they've come to speak to their president. And so the president of Liberia will be coming into this hall anytime soon for this interaction with the Liberian community here. And so it's been arranged. I'm told this just happened in the last few minutes. The security service, the president, I'm told, is just about making his way here, and as soon as he arrives, we will commence this brief ceremony, and it is indeed expected that we will hear from the chairman of the various Liberian group here. I'm told some come from far in the air, and that is why they are requesting this audience here with the president. And so we hope it's going to be a very cool activities. I see Minister Lane Eugene Nambe.
Fellow Liberians, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the President of the Republic of Liberia, His Excellency Dr. George Martin Thank you. Thank you, thank you. We'll now invite Sis Agnes, who will be doing the opening prayer.
Let us please stand. Let's bow. And so, Father God, I want to say thank you for today. We thank you for this day, oh God. We commit all our leaders' hands from Liberia into your hands, oh God. Father, we say thank you for what you have done and what you are going to do, oh God. Father, we call our president with the blood of Jesus, oh God. We come against every plan of the enemy in his life. We come against every plan of the devil in his life, oh God. Father, we thank you for this gathering, oh God. Please be in our midst, oh God. We come against everything that is not of you. We commit this whole gathering in your hand in Jesus' name.
Because open in prayer, and now you see
We'll now invite the ambassador
faces.
D. Maxwell Kemea, who will give us our statement on the purpose of the meeting.
And so D. Maxwell Kemea is the Liberian ambassador,
Your Excellency,
accredited
President Weah,
here to the United States.
Minister Finley, Representative Fala, other cabinet ministers, and platform, Mr. Chairman of CDC USA, other executives, and members of CDC USA. We've gathered here today pursuant to the desire of His Excellency President Weah to interact, engage with CDC USA chapter. We are very much pleased that this meeting is taking place and that Chairman Logan, the executives and members of CDC USA, and other well-wishers and members of the Liberian community could, on their own, take up time, mobilize themselves, and turn out in full to welcome His Excellency President Weah, who is in country for the United Nations. Mr. President, we look forward, in line with your desire and in furtherance of your engagement with Liberians, irrespective of location and affiliation, that this meeting would yield a very, very fruitful result. We are happy that you are here. And Mr. President, this is CDC USA, your CDC, and CDC USA, your president, our president. I thank you.
All right, we'll be going straight into the presentation by the chairman of CDC USA, Stephen Logo. Thank you.
His Excellency Dr. George Manneh Weah, President of the Republic of Liberia, Ambassador Krayee, Ambassador Pardon. I know these guys because I have worked with them. Ministers and officials of government present.
No, go ahead, take the microphone, please.
Ministers and officials of government present. We are very, very happy to see our president today. This is an effort that has been made over time, and with the help of Ambassador Krayee and others, Ambassador Pardon, they all work hard for us to have this meeting today. And Mr. President, we are thankful to you for giving us that opportunity. Let me go into few things that have been some bothering factors to us. We are sedition. We love this party. And all you see back there, we do anything in the interest to follow the pro-poor government. We are sometimes dissatisfied that communications with the party leaders from CDC USA falls on deaf ears. written communications, verbal communications, phone calls goes unresponsive. And that bothers us. We are also concerned about news that we heard from Liberia. Not only we are concerned, we also feel that sedition are not in critical position in the government. So there are sometimes things that happen that we could have had an idea to put stop to, but we don't. So we would like to have sedition in their own government. We are not saying Liberians are not part of CDC, but we are saying seditions to occupy critical position that is very, very detrimental to the government, like publicity, like foreign affairs. Those are key positions that makes representation to the world, and we'd like to make sure that representation is accurate. Sedition will also, I know we have sedition in the government, we know that. What we want is structure with process. This will give CDC USA the integrity and the respect we deserve. That appointments from CDC should be done, or we should be consulted, because we know our people. We know qualified seditions. We can vet our people. We can make recommendations. We know who paid dues in CDC USA. Yes. Not the people that are outside. So that when appointments are made, are people that are qualified, that people that pay dues in CDC USA, people that have sedition and willing to move the pro-poor government agenda forward. Mr. President, on your last visit, you asked her to come to Liberia in January. You asked for 50 gentlemen and ladies. We are still looking forward to coming and having a round table discussion with you. There are young seditions. We don't want gray beard like me to always be in the leadership. We have young people that we can build this institution. Most of them need scholarship, so that the legacy of sedition and the leadership should be retained. Mr. President, on one of your occasions in Liberia, I heard you making some chanting from your youth. If you can remember, when you said, beat it, driver, beat it. If we die, our worry. Mr. President, don't listen to that, because when they die, it's your worry. You are the professional driver. Okay. With that, thank you very much. And seditions, this is your president. We love you. And if you have anything to say to us, thank you.
The chairman of the CDC USA. Speaking here.
Fellow Liberians
at this forum.
Distinguished
I'm sure His
ladies and
Excellency
gentlemen,
Dr. George Mananoia will respond.
it is my singular honor and duty to introduce and invite to the podium the President of the Republic of Liberia, His Excellency Dr. John Nathaniel.
Take away.
Policy and raise the battle cry. The president.
President too strong.
Being a member of the cabinet, leaders of CDC USA, distinguished partisans, Liberians, ladies and gentlemen. Let me first of all claim my gathering here. I was watching live, Facebook Live, and I saw all the Guayama and what have you. So I said to myself, every time we come here and our partisan comes, we can see them and then we leave. So Mr. Minister, please make sure that at least bring them, find a place in the hotel and let them gather, so at least I can say hello and thank you. Before they said that somebody's idea, it was my idea of bringing you here. Well, I think, first of all, we must acknowledge the good of it. I want to thank you, not only for your resilience, you are Liberians, and you are citizens. I think what you show here is respect. You know, not only to the president, but to the country. I mean, you are a true representation of our country, our flag. So coming to the United Nations to represent our country, to see our people gather, not just only to give support, but to also come as a representation of the country to show the world that we are united. Is a good thing. I wish the other way around. I wish there would not be only seditions that would be coming to this kind of gathering. I wish all Liberians would be present. Whether you have issues with the government or the party, I think when we come to this kind of gathering, all Liberians, whether you're from different political party or not, you should be here. Because our work here is not for only sedition. Our work is the entire country. And if you listen to me today, I was clear. And I think it's important that the world know what is unfolding in our country. Yes. Few elements go around and give information that's not correct. We, since we came to power, it's been almost 2 years, and I stated that when we opened the market, Duporo and Oro, we have a record that no government in the 100 and some more years. Some came 10 years, 12 years, 27 years, and what have you. Our record shows that no government achieved what we achieved in this last time. As I said to my team, we need to be focused We need to work for the Liberian people. When we leave here, they will be the judge. They're going to see what is on ground. Other people came, nobody see what is on ground. If you come to Liberia, you'll see what is on ground, what is unfolding. Just the other day, I got a friend that came from the States. I took them to Banaville, those that used to go to Banaville field. And in 3 minutes from those communities were in Banaville Estate already. He said, how? Why you didn't go all the way on us? I said, well, we are doing road connectivity. For so many years, of course, we went on a one-way street. Today, we have so many pathways to get to our destination and so fast. We came here, we let the Liberian people know that all of the issues we're going to tackle for the road infrastructure and road connectivity is our go to a capital city that have never been congested before. There's no road, no access to good roads. Children cannot go to school on time. Even if they go to school in the rainy season, they are all in the mud. Today, you can see it around. Today you can see that this rainy season, a lot of kids went to school with no regrets. And we want to obey our country. But you see, we are all Liberians. When we brought the idea of these Congress for Democratic Change, it was not to go against anyone personally. Because we believe that Liberia needs to be developed. We launched a revolution, non-violent revolution for change. And this is why we're uniform. And we are in the driver's seat to make sure that everything works for the betterment of the Liberian people, and not just for only citizens. But you know, we sit and we listen to leaders, even in our own parties. We listen to them, and some comments they made, sometimes you don't understand why they make those comments. But at the end of the day, you know, everyone has an opinion. You're a citizen, you have the right to say what you want to say. Even if you don't have the information, just say what you want to say. You know? But I'm grateful and I'm very delighted that you came here to show support. I want to thank you. You have never left the party. You're always there for us. You gave us reason to exist, and I think we have to show that respect. This is why when you're around, I want to see you, to tell you thank you. You are our strength. You know, we are the leaders, but if you don't call our names, if you don't support us, we are nothing. But our party, there are a lot of complaints. Some of the complaints, I listen to all of the complaints that come to me. You got more unity partisans that work in the government than sedition. And then I ask the question, how? And no one ever gave me a concrete answer. So if we're going to dwell on speculations and what have you, then we don't need to continue the conversation. I listened to the leader here, and he made mention positions and what have you. Let me just touch the CDC USA. If you look around, we have a government, we have a part that need to be portioned, that need to be divided between all citizens of our country. Maybe 60% goes to the Congress for Democratic Change, and another, let's say 40% goes to the Congress for Democratic Change, another 30% goes to, another 40% goes to the coalition, and maybe 10% goes to CDC USA, and the rest go to the Liberian people. Who are they? We don't know. Are they unity partisans or what have you? It's possible. Are they independent candidates? It's possible. So we are all Liberians. And in our duties, in discharging our duties, we recognize the fact that we have a base here in the diaspora, and based on that, those people were the first group. The representation that came to Liberia was the first group that were employed. I have a record because I believe in keeping records. Those names that were first called were people from the diaspora. To listen to our own people saying that people are not employed from the diaspora is disheartening. That is not true. I think we need to rephrase when we're making those comments. And Piso City, she's here. Piso was the first female that was appointed. She from CDC USA. And Zoga Wilson is from CDC USA. I mean, we got other deputies that came from CDC USA. I mean, most of them came. Most of them came here. You know, Samuel 12 from CDC USA. He was the founding chairman of CDC. I remember when I came to Minnesota to launch the link at that time, Liberia National Congress. Someone can bear me witness. Samuel 12, Jane Colley. Those are the boss that we met on ground. And he became the chairman for the diaspora, Samuel 12. He was one of the first persons employed. And then before we came to the base in Liberia, but what I'm trying to say here, let us not point fingers. I think we should all make effort for employment. Just the other day, a lot of Liberians, both Seditians and people from the diaspora, came to Liberia. If you can recall, I had a meeting in the Jamaica resort. If anyone can recall, so many people gave their opinions and their remarks. I encourage them to come back, to work in all of the sector, private sector, even those that want to work with government, those that qualify, we will have to move the government forward. And since they left, I didn't hear from any one of them. And if anybody watching, they want to put me on record, I can attest to that. Since the group left, more than 150 person came. Not one person that came back to even seek a job or bring the business that they said they would bring, or bring the investor they said they would bring. But we are still hoping. And some of you were in that meeting, and you can attest to that. But let me not delve into too much what people deem that the party or the government is not doing what they're supposed to do. We are doing what we're supposed to do. You see, we have I listened to the gentleman that spoke, I think the acting chairman for CDC USA. You know, you talk about structural process, but I think you have to explain to me, you know, what you mean about structural process when we have a national leadership that's in place that monitor the diaspora, and everything needs to be channeled through that national leadership. And of course, through the national leadership, we as leaders gather information, we host meetings and discuss those issues. So either you are not in touch with the national leadership in Liberia, and you will talk about structural issues. Because we've been a structural party, like one time someone said that Liberia need to build institutions. In Washington, D.C., you can recall our meeting we went to. There were a lot of panelists, and they were speaking. Liberia need to build institutions. And I said, therefore with that, Liberia always had institutions, but we need system for the institution to work. So let us not sit there and cut and paste and believing that our entire country, from generation to generation, doesn't have an institution. So how the country work? since 1847. We don't have institution. So some of the English you speak, we got to be careful how we speak those English. You understand? If we need to put system in place to drive the institution, then it's good. But don't say we don't have institution. We have our base in Liberia, and that base that every political wings attached to that base. And through that base, we operate. So if we don't know anything about what you're saying, then that means you're not in touch with the base. I think you should do that. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Acting Chairman, you see, when we were growing up, our generation, when they talk about B-Day, drought B-Day, it means that you got to be careful what you say. It might come back to you. So just in case you can know the meaning of that. Because, you know, when we were young, we used to go to maybe tournaments sometime, we go to a party, and when we are late, we ask the driver to speed. And when the driver speed, when we get on the bump, and everybody hitting the roof, and so driver takes that and say, but you said I'm a B-Day. So that's your fault. And the reason I said B-Day, driver B-Day, there was only 16 billion issue, where those that get something to do with the 16 billion tag us of the 16 billion. That's what I said, B-Day, driver B-Day. Because if we problem to the 16 billion, I show I will not be part of it. Oh, yeah. So this is why we said B-Day, driver B-Day. And when we prop into the 16 billion case, you could see that our government was far from the reality, far from what they were talking. So that's what I meant, B-Day, driver B-Day. And those that brought in that money, they know when, how, why, and you could see that none of all were there. And because I'm a witness, I was in the Senate, one of those that refused to sign this document, because I